Alright guys, Rome 2 Total War has always had a complicated legacy. It's much better now, but back when it first released in 2013 and promised to be the definitive sequel to Rome Total War, the experience of classical antiquity like we've never seen before, a massive campaign map, dozens of factions, improved battle mechanics, everything pointed towards a bright future, but what players actually received was a pretty mixed package. Over time, of course, the official patches from CA, new campaigns released later down the line in the form of DLCs, mods like Divide Et Impera, everything salvaged the experience, turning Rome 2 into a much better game. It's been 12 years since its release though, and in many ways, especially visually, it is actually starting to show its age. This is where I come in to tell you that there is a fantastic new series of mods called the Tiny Mods by MIS, which has been absolutely doing an insane job, guys, like you can see on the video right now, to visually overhaul Rome 2, essentially to modernize the game to 2025 standards. In this video, I'm going to show you how one single modder has completely revitalized this game with a reimagined campaign map, rebuilt vegetation and terrain, entirely new ports and cities, reworked fleets, integrated dynamic visual effects, and even recreated military camps. By the end, I guarantee you will want to jump back into this essentially remastered Rome 2 Total War. Now, before we dive straight in, if you don't own Total War Rome 2, you can pick up the game and all of its DLCs with a massive discount on Instant Gaming, a reputable game key reseller that I've been using for a little while now. They have a great roster of games on sale like Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, Crusader Kings 3 Chapter 4, or even the entire Total War catalog, all with big discounts. So if you're thinking about buying Rome 2 Total War and its DLCs or any other game, make sure to click the link below to get your games for cheap like you deserve and support the channel at the same time. Now let's get back to the video. For me, Rome 2 Total War's campaign map has always been one of the game's weakest visual elements. Cities and ports felt very oversized and generic and often immersion breaking. Terrain textures lacked personality and vegetation changes across seasons were quite limited in scope. The sense of scale, the feeling that you were looking at a vast ancient world was clearly absent. The Tiny Mod's Grand Campaign Overhaul addresses all of this in a beautiful sweeping redesign. The most impressive and striking improvement comes from handcrafted cities and ports. Instead of the copy-pasted concrete blocks of the vanilla map, each settlement now feels like a unique place rooted in antiquity. Athens looks like Athens, not just another collection of generic structures, and countless other cities have been rebuilt with attention to historical context and architectural plausibility. Ports and harbors too have been redesigned. They now sit naturally against coastlines, integrated into their environment, and this subtle change has a huge impact. Conquering a city no longer feels like capturing a placeholder on the map. It feels like taking a real location that belongs to its region and culture. The end result here is a campaign map where settlements feel neat, proportionate, and respectful of scale. This specific decision and improvement here restores the grandeur of antiquity for me, making the world itself feel larger and more believable. From Carthage to Rome to the Germanic villages of the north or the Seleucid cities in the east, this campaign map is filled with a much wider array of buildings and landmarks and ports and towns and cities that honestly I don't think I can play this game without now. Another major element of this overhaul is the complete revamp of vegetation across the seasons. Every tree, bush, and ground texture has been rebuilt from scratch. Winter landscapes now look harsh and unforgiving. Spring is lush and vibrant. Summer bakes the terrain under glaring sun, and autumn carries the muted tones of decline. The seasonal cycle finally actually feels alive rather than being a simple filter over the same assets. Specific terrain features have also received equal attention. We've got seas, rivers, and mountains that have been reshaped to reflect real geography more faithfully. The African seashore is distinct from the Marmara Sea, the shallow waters of the Azov stand apart from the sandy beaches of Morocco, the Alps rise with newfound presence, their snow caps gleaming and imposing. These changes aren't cosmetic alone either, they create new gameplay variety and authenticity across these regions, making long campaigns across the Mediterranean feel more like true journeys. Another one here that I really like is Rome 2's naval fleets, the kind of small fleet models that we get on the campaign map, often suffered from visual repetition. Tiny Mods, on the other hand, introduces dozens of custom ship models that replace all this generic feel, beginning with the Greek and Punic cultures and expanding to others in the future. Fleets now look culturally distinct and historically inspired, with hulls, sails, and designs that differentiate factions more clearly. On the campaign map, this means that naval presences feel weighty and authentic rather than the vanilla interchangeable icons. Finally, the campaign map now features an amazing array of dynamic visual effects that really bring it to life. Thunderstorms crackle with lightning strikes, sea waves crash against coastlines, attrition, sieges, and disasters are represented with new layers of animation and atmosphere. These effects make the strategic layer more than a static planning board. It becomes a living canvas of ancient history. Also, I just want to stress that this campaign overhaul that I'm showing you here is still being tested. It's not quite publicly available just yet. If you do want to go in and help with testing and help the modders get the feedback they need to make the changes and make it public quicker, then absolutely, by all means, go and help them out. But what we've seen so far here is a preview. Even in this early state, the changes are extraordinary. Combined with DEI, which reworks Rome 2's mechanics, this visual overhaul makes the game feel like a true modern version of Rome 2, and when it releases, it will be nothing short of a revitalization of Rome 2's campaign. Now, MIS's Tiny Mods don't just cover the campaign map. There is a huge amount of work that's gone into the battle side of things on Rome 2 as well. Battles in Rome 2 already had spectacle, but they often felt too clean, too artificial, too detached from the chaos of real combat. MIS has rebuilt the visual language of battle to capture that chaos in a way that is both cinematic and authentic. For the first time in Rome 2, arrows now remain where they land instead of disappearing or lining up in neat rows. They scatter randomly across the battlefield, shields bristle with shafts, walls and ground are littered with arrows, and sieges become desperate storms of missile fire. It's messy, it's chaotic, and it finally looks like real ancient warfare. They also now leave a cinematic trail, enhancing tactical visibility while also giving sieges and naval battles a hellish feel. Flaming volleys arc through the sky, creating spectacles that are both useful for the player and immersive to watch. The overhaul also introduces entirely new blood textures, transforming the battlefield into a brutal tableau soaked in gore, filth, and mud. Units no longer look untouched after brutal clashes. They carry the scars and stains of combat. It's unflinching, but it adds weight to the violence of ancient warfare. We've also got fire textures that have been rebuilt in high resolution, giving burning settlements, ships, and siege engines a fiery realism. Winter has been overhauled as well. Gone are the ugly white decals. Snow, rain, and clouds blanket the battlefield properly, making winter campaigns look and feel bitter and punishing. Clashes between infantry now kick up debris and dust. Cavalry charges rip chunks of earth from the ground. The battlefield is not a clean chessboard anymore. This is a chaotic, dirty, living place. And with the blessing of Ave Metal, this mod also integrates the best features of the Parabellum Effects mod, including dust effects and firestorm scripts. It combines the best of both worlds, ensuring players don't have to choose between two excellent effect systems. All of this is optimized as best as possible, though large-scale naval battles with fire arrows can still produce some frame rate drops. For those with weaker PCs, a light version exists that does reduce the strain while keeping most features intact, which is very, very helpful. And the result here is a Rome 2 Total War that has battles that don't look staged and fake. Everything here looks real, brutal, cinematic, and unforgettable. Finally, there is also a smaller but no less impressive project in the Tiny Mod series that revamps something I really don't like in Rome 2, and that is the military camps. In Vanilla Rome 2, military camps looked like a generic collection of huts, and worse, they were destructible, completely destructible by poor AI maneuvering before the battle even begins. This often broke immersion and left the camps looking chaotic in all the wrong ways. These have all been rebuilt into proper military camps. They now resemble real fortified encampments of antiquity rather than makeshift villages. Tents are indestructible, ensuring they remain orderly throughout the battle. Faction flags, which always looked clumsy, have been removed. The UI representation on the campaign map has been streamlined as well, and the effect is subtle but important. When you attack or defend a military camp, it finally looks and feels like a real base of operations. Overall, the Tiny Mods by MIS represent one of the most impressive visual overhauls ever attempted for Rome 2, and there have been loads of them. From the grand campaign to the battlefield, from arrow impacts to the layout of military camps, every detail has been considered with the aim of improving immersion and modernizing the game's look. I mean, come on guys, the campaign map looks completely different in a way that genuinely makes Rome 2 look more like a modern game released in 2025. The attention to detail here is seriously insane. Total War Rome 2 is over a decade old now, which is crazy to me, but with mods like Divide Et Impera that impact, factions, mechanics, unit rosters, and the Tiny Mods, which, does all of this visual overhaul in incredible detail, it almost feels like a next generation remake of the game. And the most amazing part is that this entire project is the work of a single dedicated modder, and it's still being updated and tested as well, so we're going to see even more in the near future. When the grand campaign overhaul is finally made available, it will be nothing less than transformative. For anyone who loves Rome 2, especially with DEI, this mod is going to be essential. Either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. I'll definitely let you know when the mod is released with a more in-depth showcase, as I'm sure a lot will change and get polished. And if you don't own Rome 2 Total War, then get it on a massive discount using my instant gaming link below as well. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments section below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.